This is power and purpose personified, walking towards justice, fighting for freedom. This is speaking now, empowering the next generation to know how to live with confidence and precision, to move with mastery and meaning. This is a spirit that is free, traveling one coast to the next, escaping the comforts of home. This is finding new friends and exploring the warrior within to destinations amazing, to destinations unknown. This is what it means to keep pounding, to cheer for the home team without hesitation. This is love and life, success and sacrifice. This is Yolanda Trotman, and this is The Conversation.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, honey, we are back. Welcome to The Conversation. So first of all, let me start off with a tremendous Happy New Year to each of you. We made it. Y'all, we made it out of 2020. We are into 2021. It has started off with shenanigans and all of that, but we're going to keep pushing. And we're going to obviously make this a fantastic year. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much to all of your support for season 2 of The Conversation. 2020 was an excellent year. 33 episodes. We had 33 episodes in 2020, starting off with studio shows, moving to the live format, and obviously being able to do the interaction on a level that means so very much. So thank you so much to all of you who have supported The Conversation. So tonight's show is absolutely positively interactive, as they all are. So make sure that you like, you follow, subscribe at all things at The Convo Pie Show. Drop your questions. If you're joining us on the YouTube channel. Drop your questions if you're joining us on the watch party, or if you are joining us live on either my page or The Conversation page if you have questions for our guest. And most importantly, make sure that you are spreading the word about The Conversation. So a few things, of course, as I've always said, make sure that you like, you follow, and subscribe at The Convo Pie Show, specifically to the YouTube channel, because we've revamped it. And for new subscribers and even past subscribers, it's going to make you eligible for some free merchandise and some other good things. So make sure that if you've not already done so, take a moment, go over to YouTube, look up The Conversation with Yolanda Trotman, which is the YouTube channel, and make sure that you subscribe, because free merch is going out as soon as the end of the month. That also being said, so excited because the Convo Pie Show website is up. It is live. So once you get done with this conversation, whether you're joining us live or whether or not you are joining us for the replay, make sure you check out the new website, which is theconvopieshow.com. Has all of the past episodes up there in one place from season 1 all the way up to our current season, which is season 3. But let me tell you, before I introduce my guest, I cannot let this day go by without saying Happy Founders Day. Happy Founders Day. Happy Founders Day. To all of my sorrows, my devastating, wonderful, fantastic, phenomenal divas of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Oh, definitely have to show y'all some love. Drop a whoop in the comments if there's sorrows that are catching us live in the replay, or drop an elephant. Or drop that red triangle if you need to do so. But definitely make sure that if you have questions as we continue on with the show, make sure that you drop them in the comments so that we can see them. So I am so excited to bring you a new, brand spanking new series that I'm calling Personal Conversations. And this particular series is one-on-one conversations with names of people that you know. And we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into their story, much like the in-studio shows, if you've caught those episodes, where normally I would do that through pictures and some other things in the podcast studio. This is more of a personal conversation, not necessarily tied to a particular topic, but definitely more of the format of the original conversation. So my guest is he's infamous. You know his name. You've seen him on television. If you have had any interest in the music industry, you knew who he was before he showed up and made quite the impression and caused quite the stir on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I bring to you, introduce to some of you, none other than the infamous, fantastic, my friend, Peter Thomas. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm great. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your super, super busy schedule. I know that you are traveling right now, making some major, major, major big moves. So it is not lost on me, certainly not lost on us. Let me let you get it together.
Yeah, I'm doing
But making some major moves. So thank you so much for taking the time. So how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I am great. How you doing?
I am good. So happy New Year to you. How did 2020 end up for you?
2020, 2020 ended up real sad for me because in the month of December on the 9th, my father passed.
Mm-hmm.
It was a rough year. I had COVID, uh, lost some friends, and then my dad passed.
Mm. And I know that you all were very close. Was following that on some of your.
1 second,
Sure.
Tony. I don't think I could. She's calling me, but hold on. I text her. Hold on 1 second, okay?
Okay.
1 second, Yolanda. I apologize.
Because I know that you're joining us from your phone, so we definitely are going to have that issue. So so that we can definitely keep you on for the majority of the time. So I think we are good. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. And so we lost your screen.
Let's text her. Are you there?
We are here, but we lost your audio. We lost your video. Let's try this again. We can hear you, but we can't see you. All right. So while he is circling back around, so ultimately, the way that I met Peter is that back in 2014, I was running for district court judge. And the thing that was so interesting at the time is that he had recently had come to Charlotte, and this was the beginning of one of the business ventures that he was starting here, which is called Sports One. For those of you that are tuning in from the Charlotte area, you know Sports One has been around for quite some time. And then we had the opportunity to get to know each other there. I think we got you back. Okay, all good. And so, Peter, I was telling them about how we first met. And so my friend Kenya and I ended up going.
It's doing that thing again.
It's not on our end because I didn't put in the headphones.
Say that again.
I said I didn't put in headphones, so it's the same as it was before.
You haven't done anything. It's just doing that.
Must be on your end.
Okay, here we go.
All right. Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you.
We're going to get this right. This is what happens when we go live. We got it right. Okay. So anyway, Peter, I was telling the audience about how we first met. And of course, for those of you who are just tuning in, my guest here is Peter Thomas. If you have questions, make sure you drop them in the comments. Make sure you share the live. Drop a heart or drop a smiley face to let us know where you are watching from for sure. But anyway, Peter, I was telling them how we first met, ended up coming down to Sports One, had never met you. And we actually came down and from a football game or going to a football game. I can't remember if we were going or coming. And you happened to be there and introduced ourselves. And I remember you specifically asking me, like, well, what are you running for? And I said, well, I'm running for district court judge. Well, what does that mean? And I told you what it meant. And you were like, I'll support you. I was like, it can't be that easy. But it was. And what meant so much to me at that time, I mean, we're talking 2014, you really didn't know me that well. And all I knew about you at the time was just what I had seen on television, which of course is what it is. But, what meant so much to me was not just the use of the facility or the use of Sports One and even hosting that event, was the fact that you showed up. I mean, put on your suit, got suited and booted, hopped a flight, and came to support. And it was tremendous. And I never, ever forgot that. So, and I think that's kind of part and parcel of our friendship over the years is, I mean, without question, you offered your support and continue to offer your support. So for those of you joining us who may not know Peter, obviously most of us know you from Real Housewives of Atlanta fame when you became a part of the show. But most people don't know, where you're from and how you ended up getting into the music business, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's where you really started and had your name, certainly from the very beginning, before reality television even became a thing. Is that fair to say?
It's some like it's like 87%.
Okay.
I started in Miami. I started with a nightclub called Club Manhattan's back in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 25 years old when that happened in Miami. And, I started booking a lot of New York acts, started booking a lot of Rush Management, Def Jam acts.
Okay.
Then I became friends with Russell shortly after because we were exposing them to a market that they didn't have a strong hold in.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, they gave me a job as president for Rush Management because at this time I'd own a couple of bars and nightclubs in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave me a job in London back in 1990 to be the president of Rush Management.
Mm-hmm.
And when they moved into their new facility in 92 in New York on Varick, they brought me in and Leo Cohen, he's now the chairman of YouTube, by the way, and we're on YouTube.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, Leo brought me in and gave me office space to do what I wanted to do at the time. I tell them I inspired to educate young people in hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Their worth, ownership.
And why was that so important to you?
Yeah, because I used to go to Jack the Rapper and all these conventions, and I used to see that when you talk to these kids, they only make money when they go out on tours because they would sell their publishing, because they didn't understand the value of publishing.
Right.
And I read upon it and see that if you keep your publishing, as long as your music is being played somewhere in the world, you're gonna be making money.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to change how these kids operate, and now these major publishing house would just zoom in and buy up your publishing and give you a big check, and you never see money like that before. So most of them go for the check and know that they just sold their whole soul.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to educate them and let them know that's the last thing that they should do. And Leo Cohen gave me an opportunity with office space in the facility of Def Jam to do whatever I wanted to do. Since I proved to them my worth when I went to London and worked as the president of Rush Management 2 years before that.
Now this was in the 80s are we still in the 80s or early 90s?
We're in 1990.
Okay.
Okay, 1990.
Gotcha.
And 1992, I moved into 160 Varick Street in New York City. And I started How Can I Be Down? The first How Can I Be Down was 1993.
Mm-hmm.
1992, I did a party for Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, a birthday party in Miami. And all the magazine came down, like Ride On Magazine, all the magazine, BRE, all of them came. And it was the same weekend Juice had came out with Tupac, Omar Epps, and Khalil Kane. Mm-hmm. And it's the same week that Puff and Heavy D did a party at CCNY and people got trampled. So Puff came down, Andre Harrell got him out of town, came down, sent him down to Miami for the convention just to get him out of away from the New York press.
Right.
And he brought Biggie with him. And, that's how this whole How Can I Be Down thing started. So by 1993, when we did our first convention, around 1,200 people signed up. By 6, which is like 3 years later, Miami Beach asked us never to do it again because we brought over 100,000 people to South Beach and they police force only had 340 police officers. So they couldn't handle anything like that. They had to bring in the state troopers, and it was just crazy. you know. But it was the cutting edge of we knowing our worth in hip hop. We, Russell Simmons had Fat Farm, a store in Soho for like 8 months. We put him in Vibe magazine and Source magazine. He got a distribution deal when the world saw Fat Farm and not just a store in Soho. And, did fashion show with Tommy Hilfiger and Helly Hansen and Fubu. Fubu had just came around then. Coconut was hot. Cross Colors was hot. So we
going way back. The Cross Colors and Coconut. Lord have mercy.
So how can I down create a fusion between fashion and music? Because before that, artists would only make money when they're on their tour in whatever city they go and they'll sell T-shirts for merchandise. So we really didn't have any fashion, that old movement of fashion and hip hop, didn't start it. It actually started at How Can I Be Down?
And a lot of people don't know that when you started to really see fashion being either associated with artists or being associated with hip hop in this evolution period, a lot of people don't know that started from, your brainchild, which became the conference, which became that ultimate movement, because it wasn't it wasn't enough to just hear the music. You had to have the whole look, all of that.
Definitely. And, the hip hop movement was strong in the inner city, but it was purchased in the suburban area, in the rural area. That's where it exploded. That's when the artists go platinum. I remember Leo told me, "Yo, you're hot in the city at 125,000 units, but you don't go platinum until you hit the kids in the rural areas. That's when you really go platinum." You know what I'm saying? So How Can I Be Down was that movement that brought all these people in from all over the globe, because it was the first hip hop conference. So people was coming from Europe, from Australia, from Japan. They came from everywhere to How Can I Be Down? And the main thing about How Can I Be Down was to educate them in the business of music, the business of entertainment. Let them know their worth, from Jay-Z to Dame Dash to Jermaine Dupri to Dr. Dre to like all the major guys now that's turning billionaires. They all started on panels at How Can I Be Down.
How fascinating is that? Now, you're originally from where, people who don't know?
I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, but grew up when I was 9, 10 years old. My family moved to Brooklyn, New York. So I grew up in Brooklyn. All my formative years in New York City.
But that Jamaican influence is still up in there, though.
1,000%, baby.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so when you made the transition from living in Jamaica to coming to the States, was that hard for you? Because you're not quite a teenager. You're still young, but how hard of a transition was that?
It was hard because, you grew up on an island, and we came December 18th. And I remember seeing snow for the first time.
Wow.
Seeing so many different race for the first time, because I was from a little village called Augustown. And you didn't see, you see even Jamaica, even though Jamaica's slogan is out of many one people, in the village that I live, all I see was black people. So when you came to America, you see all race, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of shocking at first, and then you see snow. And, like, these are things that you probably have one house in the whole village that had black and white TV, you know what I'm saying? And you used to go over there and watch it, but to see it in real life, it was definitely shocking. And then, we speak with a heavy patois, and people I used to get in fights in school all the time because they used to tease me at how I talk. Was in junior high school all the way up to high school. It was always a problem. Back in the 70s, it was rough.
Yes, especially if you didn't fit in, if you will.
Yeah. So, they used to call me Coconut. They used to call me Tar Baby. They used to call me Midnight. They used to call me all kind of things.
Oh my gosh! So when did you leave? When did you actually leave New York?
I left New York when I went to college in Oklahoma, and then when I came back from college, my junior year, I went back to New York because I hated Oklahoma. And after I graduated, I started working. I took a job for the city of New York as a social worker, and I did that for 2.5 years.
Wait a minute, Peter. Wait a minute. You were a social worker?
social work. I had a caseload of 300 families.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
Yes, the family that made me quit that job I remember their name and I remember the case. And the caseload was so big; it was like boxes of that. They gave me the worst family ever as a junior, uh, social worker. The name of them was the Esters, and
Mm-hmm.
I tried to educate them. I tried to help them to get them off the system. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember their grandmother came up there and cussed me all the way out because I was messing up her checks. You know,
Wow.
because they was generation of welfare recipient.
Mm-hmm.
They made a lot of money, like 18, 19 people in that family. So them checks was
Mm-hmm.
huge. You know what I'm saying? And she just tell me mind my business and leave them alone because they've been doing this for generations. And I like, yeah, I can't work this job. You know what I'm saying? And like I hit the streets and then I went down to Miami and I opened a shoe store and that was doing well, but that's not what I wanted to do. And then, I started promoting a club called Club Manhattan's back in 1985. And, like it hit 6 months later, I bought the club and I never looked back. I've been in that industry since.
So, but how do you make the transition then from working as a social worker to becoming an entrepreneur?
I just hated going there. I was 23 years old. I used to go there, and the average person that sit around me was like 45.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been there for 20 years, and I'm looking at them and know that this is not what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I went to work, and I just couldn't hit the clock. You physically have to hit the clock. And
Mm-hmm.
that ching when you hit the clock, when the clocked in. And I couldn't do it. And I drove my car to Kennedy Airport. I wanted to go to LA because I wanted to get in the music industry, television industry, not knowing that it was right in my backyard. I missed that flight, and I ended up going down to Miami. And when I get to Miami, I had to find a job. And like when I buy the Miami Herald and look in the classified, when people actually used to do that.
Yeah, young folk don't know what that means.
Yeah, I know. Wendy's was hiring, and at this point, I didn't finish college. I had my associate at that time, and as an associate degree, they give you a job as an assistant manager. So I went.
Mm-hmm.
I took the job. I did that for 2 years, and before I realized I can't do that either, I went back to New York and worked construction with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying save up enough money, and then went back to Miami and did the club thing. Yeah.
And so making that move from New York to Miami, how tough was that? Was it a tough transition or not so much?
It wasn't difficult for me because, like I like to move around. A lot of people, in the African American community, I would say 80% of them they're born, live, and die 30 miles radius.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I had no problem getting on the plane and going somewhere. I was always curious what's happening on the other side anyway. When I
Right.
graduated high school, I went to Europe. I did backpack Europe for like almost 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Just trying to
In the
see the world.
70s.
Yeah, seeing the world.
Yeah, that's real right there.
Yeah.
That's real right there. That's before phones. That's when we still had putting coins in phones.
Exactly. That was 1979. I remember
That's
that.
rotary phones.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. So, all right. So you're in Miami, you're doing your thing, you're in the entertainment industry. So a lot of perception is, at least in that time, because we're talking early 90s. And even now, like the perception is that there's a lot of that is glamorous and, all of that. But real talk from the perspective of having clubs, having own clubs, obviously we'll get into Bar One and Sports One and your other businesses. But what's reality versus how people perceive it from the outside? Like, what would you say the reality is of being in the entertainment industry from the perspective of where you've been?
Well, people see it as glamorous, but it's actually it's hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I know all the executives now that's like mega people. I'll watch some of them from they were interns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And when you're an intern, you don't get paid. You know what I'm saying? You might get some lunch money and a subway fare, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want it, then you got to go hard. You got to go hard for at least a year before they give you a job. But when they give you a job, if you're really good at your job, you're going to excel. I watch people from like Mike Kaiser now is the president of Atlantic Records for Black Music Department. But I remember when I first met Mike, he was working at Tower Records. downstairs from Russell Simmons at begging for a job. I remember when they came in as a intern to Kevin Lyles, and work his way up. And look who he's president of Atlantic Records right now. He did work. There's a lot of hard work. It wasn't given. Nobody gives you anything in the music industry. No one does. You have to earn it. You know what I'm saying? And me being in the hospitality industry, like I started working at Wendy's as an assistant manager. I used to work the fry station, the burger station, the drive-through. I knew how to do. It really taught me business by being there. They don't throw away anything. You burn a burger, you put it in the waste basket for chili. You know what I'm saying? They don't throw away.
We don't need to know that. Oh my God. We don't need to know that. Oh my God.
Yeah, but so
and that's Wendy's. That ain't even Taco Hell. Okay, I digress.
I still eat at Wendy's because they were so clean. You know what I'm saying? The way they do things was probably one of the best fast food restaurants as far as I'm concerned. But they really taught me business. So when I went and started my own nightclub, I understood because I worked at Wendy's for 2 years. I understand the whole premise of business. Premises of, don't get high in your own supply. It's not about the girls that's coming through the door. You know what I'm saying? It's a business, and a lot of people think it's easy. They go into it not knowing that you have to know marketing. You got to know promotion. You have to, you have to do your P&L sheets. You got to do all of that in order to take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, that's why 80% of the people that goes into the restaurant business fail, because they have no clue of what they're doing.
And so when you, now how long were you in Miami?
I lived in Miami on and off. I feel like I never left Miami. You know what I'm saying? Because I always maintain a resident in Miami because it's tropical. Even when I was in New York, I had my place in Miami. When I was in Atlanta, I had my place in Miami. When I was in Charlotte, it was the only time I didn't live in Miami. For 5 years, I lived in Charlotte. I missed it so much, and I was so successful down there that I went back to Miami and opened a bar on Miami Beach, and the success came like that because I knew what I was doing, so it wasn't difficult for me.
And so for those of you just joining us, make sure if you have questions or comments, make sure you drop them in the comment section so I'll see them if you want to say, hey, throwing away. Sherlyn, Antoine, Veronica, Tracy, all of y'all who said hello. How are y'all doing? Definitely. So let's switch gears for a second, Peter. So how is it? Because blogs tell us one thing, but we want to hear. I want to hear from you, and I'm sure the audience wants to hear from you. Like, two main questions. One, how did you and Cynthia meet? And then, of course, how did that becoming, how is it that you became involved with Real Housewives of Atlanta? And we'll jump into that for a few minutes before we move on. Oh.
Okay, good. Cynthia and I met before we actually started dating, 17 years before that, on a plane flying from Miami to New York. And Leor, who I mentioned earlier, we was in first class, and she was, and he switched seats with her for me to sit beside her. And I met her briefly when she was dating Russell, probably, years before that. And in 2007, I was building Uptown Restaurant and Lounge in Atlanta. And a friend of mine was living in Atlanta that used to model Ford Model Agency. And I was looking for an automobile, and she said Cynthia had a Range Rover at her uncle's house or cousin house that she wasn't using. She didn't want to bring it to New York because it cost so much money to park it there. And she had just moved back to New York from Houston. So I said, get in touch with her. I know her. So get in touch with her, and she called her, and we got on the phone, and we made arrangement. Got the paper drawn up through the attorney for me to take over her car and make the payments. So I just went ahead and paid it off. And while I was talking to her, she wasn't dating anyone. She was in Vegas doing her 40th birthday. And we started talking, and, it was friendly. And like 2-3 weeks of that went on. And then I went to go see her, and we started dating.
Yeah. And so when you decided to join the show, was it what you expected?
Nah, I didn't know anything about the show. It was 2009. One of the marketing kid that worked for me at Uptown told us about the show. Told me about
Mm-hmm.
the show, and he said, "Yo, you should be on Atlanta Housewife because it's a popular show. It's blowing up." And I believe they're on this. They had just finished their first episode and they were on the second episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to look into it, and then I brought it to Cynthia and tell her this is something that you should do. Because at that point, her modeling career was declining.
Mm-hmm.
40 years old, they're like models being 16, 17 years old.
Right.
And so she had a long run. So we look into it, we talk about it. The producer came over there, and then they knew who she was because she was extremely successful in the modeling world. And they knew who I was from How Can I Be Down in Def Jam. And
Mm-hmm.
they thought it would be breath of fresh air for their show that's entering in the second season on Bravo, and they signed us on.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is history.
Was it what you expected?
I always approach those things as business, but you learn real fast because like you tape for 18 hours and then they only use 3 minutes of it, and then
Right.
it's the worst 3 minutes of the 18 hours. You know what I'm saying? So after you see a couple of episodes, you're like, oh, okay, all right. So this is how that works. So now I got to be mindful of what I say, how I say it. I got to jump in. It was never about the guys until I got on the show because it's called A Housewife. But I seen it as an opportunity, a marketing opportunity to brand myself. So I
Mm-hmm.
started inserting myself in conversation. I just didn't want to be one of the person that was there to fly on the wall that didn't have an opinion, didn't have a voice. But yet millions of people are seeing you on TV every week. So I'm like, wait, I'm gonna change the dynamic of this. It's called A Housewife of Atlanta, but clearly they're married to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And we were dating at the time. We were living together at the time because she had moved from New York to move to Atlanta to be with me. And I seen it as an opportunity for us to do it. And then we got married on the show, and
Mm-hmm.
got separated on the show. We got divorced on the show, and but yeah, I walked away from it feeling good about myself because I didn't make an ass out of myself. You know what I'm saying? And I was a fan favorite, and I'm reaping the rewards today. That's why I'm in Baltimore opening a restaurant because millions of people know my name and my face.
Mm.
And
And so, and so, what do you think the hardest lesson? Because you said you do all this taping and it only shows just a few minutes of something that you may have said. Do you think you were portrayed fairly?
they never prefer black men on television fairly, ever. So I go into it knowing that, and I watched it. I watched them destroy people on the show. I watched
Mm-hmm.
them destroy people on the other Housewife franchise. Um, People, I remember the guy in Beverly Hills hung himself. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Joe Judice even though he came to America from Italy when he was 2 years old, after his conviction, he was sent back to Italy when he never lived there in his life. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? I watch Apollo went to jail for 6 years. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I watch Cordell got destroyed on Housewife.
He did.
So many husbands that I see come there got destroyed. And one of the things that when Cynthia and I was getting a divorce, and we spoke on it because we were separated several seasons before the fan even knew. Because we never see in our personal life, we didn't see eye to eye in anything. I didn't think I had her as a sport, and a lot of people saw that on the show. So but one thing that I did not want to do, I did not want to use this slanderous platform to stain my name forever.
Mm-hmm.
So her and I agreed that it's going to be the most amicable divorce in the history of reality TV. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
talk bad about each other. We didn't fight about anything. I walked away. I didn't take a dime. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Contrary to what people think, I didn't take a dime in my divorce. I leave millions of dollars on the table because at that point, we were making up to $1.5 million a season. So half of it is mine. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? But I'm a hustler. I'm Jamaican. I don't believe in taking anything from any female. So that's how my father raised me, and that's how I exit, just like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so the perception is that it wasn't. So the perception, or at least, of course, the perception is never really reality, but it was an amicable divorce, contrary to reports of otherwise. Are you all still, or how would you describe your relationship with her now?
You know, we didn't have any kids together. So when two grown people break up and no longer together, you know, and it was amicable, I didn't say nothing bad about her. She didn't say anything bad about me. We just went about our business,
Mm-hmm.
start other life with new people.
And so, how do you end up in Charlotte then? Because you all were still
That
together
was
when you came to Charlotte.
actually we weren't together when I came
Oh,
to.
really?
Okay,
Okay.
but we didn't let the producers notice. And
Right.
I just wanted to get away from Atlanta. I wanted to be somewhere else. I came up there. I came up there to do the Cynthia Bailey model search,
Mm-hmm.
the Omni, and I walked around Uptown and I fell in love with the city. And I was looking around to see what all the blackness was in Uptown. I really couldn't find any. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody told me if you want to see black people, you got to go to Ritz Carlton lobby on Friday and Saturday night. So
Facts.
yeah, so I went back up there Friday, Saturday night, and when I see beautiful black people in the lobby of the Ritz Carlton giving them money, even though they didn't like them, I said I'm going to open something up here, and I found a location 4 blocks away, and I tell everybody I used to work that lobby every week for
Mm-hmm.
like 4 or 5 months, telling everybody I'm getting ready to open because at that point we were big on the show and they knew who I was, and then we opened Sports One in 2014.
And so when Sports One opened, was it obviously you've been in the industry for some time, so you had a certain expectation in terms of the level of success. Did it exceed your expectations?
Yes, it did. Sports One was a hit from day one. It definitely was. Those people, I got them out of the lobby of the Ritz Carlton, and they came to Sports One at 521 North College Street, down the block where nobody used to go to. There's nothing but homeless people down there. They told me it wasn't going to work, but it worked beautifully.
Right, because that old spot didn't have been empty for years before Sports One came. And I think the thing that I always appreciated with you, and obviously what I talked about at the beginning of the episode, so go back and listen to how Peter and I actually met. But you still continue to support, even with my line sisters after we crossed. I was like, "Hey, can we have the spot for our party?" And it was an easy yes. And I remember when you post on your IG when we were strolling, and it was like 50 of us, and we took over the whole spot. And so you've always been, successful as far as business side, but you've always never hesitated with me and many others to just to give back and to help out.
We're
But
doing your line sisters at Sports One as we speak right now.
yeah, several of them are there because it's Founders Day,
Yeah.
and
We had a large group coming in tonight. But with saying that, one of the reasons what I've always done in my old professional career is that I am extremely pro-black. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I always believe that you can sustain and you could be successful just dealing with your own people. You don't have to go outside of it. So to me, Sports One, just like Uptown was, just like How Can They Be Down Music Conference was to educate black people and to celebrate black people. You know what I'm saying? I knew that we could do a venue for, for quality, in Uptown Charlotte that was seeking a venue at that time, and I knew it was going to work. You know what I'm saying? And if you do it with certain class and certain grace and certain style, they're going to come. Like-minded people always want to be around like-minded people, and that's what Sports One was.
And so
that's what Sports One
still is.
Today.
I gotta take a point of personal privilege because a couple of your favorite people have chimed in, and you got to get them the shout out. So Vicky, I call her Veronica. I didn't know that was Vicky. Hey Vicky, hey girl. Antoine, Omir, all of them saying hey, because we haven't seen you in forever, other than what we've seen on Instagram. So tell us why or how Bar One Miami started, because it with all of the success of Sports One. That was a big risk to then go open up Bar One in Miami.
Actually, it wasn't. It was a big risk opening Sports One in Charlotte because I knew
really.
I knew nothing of Charlotte. I'd never been there before. Miami is where that was where my bread was buttered from day one. Miami is like going home to me. You know what I'm saying? I know that market like the back of my hand, so it wasn't difficult. And the landlord that I'm dealing with in Miami that gave me a waterfront property, which black folks don't get waterfront property. he knew the quality of person that I am. It wasn't the first time I'm doing business with. I actually have done business with the Robbins family for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that property right on the water and it had his name on it, I called him immediately and he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want that spot on the water." And he said, "It's yours. Just bring me this and it's yours." You know,
Mm.
and it's a great Jewish family. And a lot of people don't know it. I opened the first black club in the history of Miami Beach in 1988, Fifth Street. Okay. And then I opened the first upscale black restaurant in the history of Miami Beach because from 1915 to 1973, they didn't allow blacks to live on South Beach. They didn't allow blacks to
Wow.
swim in the water. They didn't allow blacks to stay in hotel. When Sammy Davis Jr. and the Rat Pack used to be over there jamming at the Tropicana room at the Fountain Blue, you know what I'm saying? When Dean Martin and those guys and Frank Sinatra's going upstairs to their suite, Sammy had to get in the car and go back to Pork and Beans across the bridge because he wasn't allowed to sleep there. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? I remember the first time I walked into a venue that I wanted to turn into a nightclub in 1984 on South Beach, and with the same landlord, by the way, who came years later and bought that building. And I remember checking out the plumbing, and I went to the bathroom, and it was a McCormick's, like a Woolworth, and it wasn't used for like 20 years. Miami Beach had a downfall for like 20 years when nobody went there, and it was just old people in folding chairs. Until
Did you say old people in
yeah,
folding chairs?
yes, it's like a Jewish retirement home. You know what I'm saying? The Jews in the Northeast used to send they family down there for sun and you know that's where they would fade, you know, die. You know, so if you
Folding chairs, though, Peter.
folding chairs, yeah, we used to fold the chairs, go outside, sit down, talk amongst each other, and then at the end by nightfall they fold it and they take it back upstairs. When I went to Miami Beach in '84, I would be there for a week before I saw 5 black people.
Wow.
They never used to go there because they weren't allowed to cross the bridge. You know, so when I was told that by Jerry Russian, which was co-owner and general manager for WEDR, #1 radio station in Miami for the last 40 years, I was blown away by it. I needed to change that, and we opened Fifth Street in '88, and then Luther Campbell came and opened Luke's across the street from me. So it was major impression for the first time ever in the history of Miami Beach when you came over the bridge off of 395, drive right into Fifth. The first thing you would see at the second light is a bunch of black people on both corners because Luke is on one side and Fifth Street is on the side, my venue. You know, and 5 out of 7 venues after that was with the Robbins family. By the way, what I was telling you about McCormick, when I went in that bathroom, there was a sign that says, "No Jews, no blacks, no dogs." That blew me away. Okay, when I was talking to my landlord and we were talking about the history of Miami Beach 2 years ago, and I told him about that sign. He said, "I got that sign in my garage. I took the door and put it in my garage, and that's the reason why I bought that building." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And back in 2000, 1999, he had the same building. I went back in there and opened a venue called Barcode with Club Zeno upstairs. You know, Benzino from, you know, the reality dude, the dude who used to co-own the Source magazine. You know what I'm saying? So we just wanted to be changed. We wanted venues on South Beach where they told us that we couldn't hang out, we couldn't play. We wanted venues for black people to come over there, hang out, and play in black venues, not white venues. You know what I'm saying? And ironically, I left. I opened a restaurant in 1996 called Savannah's that came second place for the James Beard Award and Best Design Restaurant in Interior Design Magazine. Oprah Winfrey, Stedman, Gail, Calvin Klein spent New Year's Eve with me, bringing in 97 from 96.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold that restaurant to the China Grill Group and took a job to be the president of Source Entertainment on the West Coast in LA because I wanted to change. I needed change. Where I executive produced the Source Awards on UPN, first hip hop award show in the history of television. I executive produced that show way before BT came around with their little hip hop show.
Okay.
All right. So with saying that,
Put some respect on your name tonight.
yeah, they better did. They better do. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know my history because I don't walk around bragging about it. You know what I'm saying? But like that same venue, when I sold that venue, 23 years later, I went back to Miami Beach with Bar One, and there was no upscale, black-owned restaurant on South Beach since I sold that venue for 23 years.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying? Until I brought back Bar One on Miami Beach.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so when you so it, for you is like coming home, obviously, when you came back to Miami. So how did COVID hit? We know I'll get to in a second, like what you had to deal with having COVID yourself, but how did it really impact your business initially? Did you go through the same scary period that many of us did when everything was shut down?
I went through the same scary period that the world went through. Every small business owner in this world was affected by it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't an American thing; it was a global thing.
Right.
When they shut down on March 16th, and there's no inside or outside dining, just pickup only. You went from doing X amount. You went from doing, say, I'll just give you a number, 100,000 a week, to doing $3,000 a week. You know what I'm saying? You have to let go of all your employees and just hold on to the ones that you can't replace. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, a lot of people couldn't even do that because they didn't. Their brand wasn't built for on Grubhub and all of those food companies, DoorDash, all of that, because those companies take 20 to 25% of whatever you're selling that product for.
Right.
So what's left over, you barely could pay your bills. So a lot of those restaurants failed. You know what I'm saying? This restaurant that's been in New York for 30, 40 years that you will never see again because they failed. They're gone forever. So I was affected by that big time. But, my landlord also had faith in me because he have dealt with me for years. So, he knew that the bailout was going to come. He knew PPP was going to come. He knew the SBA was going to come. And as soon as it came, I gave him his money.
Right.
And I got sick during that period, because of course,
let's talk about that because you did share a lot of that on your IG page about what you went through when you contracted COVID. What month was that?
That was, I believe I got it in April or June.
So you got it early on.
I think it was May that I have it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for people who still think that is fake, it's not real. What was it like for you?
I was one of those people think it's fake. It wasn't real until it hit me. And it hit me hard. I was home. I didn't want to go to the hospital because, I just feel when you go to the hospital, they just want to kill you. So I refused to go to the hospital. And a friend of mine she had work at South Miami General, and she's a doctor. She had just got the job in Miami. She was in Annapolis, Maryland for like 18 years. And then she had just moved to Florida when this thing came about. So her and a couple of nurse friends of hers would come to my house to treat me. If I didn't have a personal friend, people saw it in me in my bedroom and they thought I was in a hospital room. They thought I was in a hospital suite somewhere. But it's actually my friends that was helping me out, what I'm saying, to make sure that I didn't die. They would give me shots in my stomach every day to make sure that my blood didn't clog and go my arteries and cause a heart attack. They would put me on IV to give me all the vitamins that my body didn't have. Just to get me back up and strong. It took like 3 weeks. It was the worst headache pain, the worst stomach cramps that you could imagine. I was just. I didn't even thought I was going to come out of it, to be honest with you. And then if they weren't there, I wouldn't have come out of it. I would have been dead.
You really think so?
Yeah. Well, without them, there's no way I would have made it. I promise you, I wouldn't have made it.
Yeah. And so, what was the worst symptom for you that you had to fight through?
Mine was more abdominal. So, it's like throwing up. I couldn't get up. I was too weak to get up to go to the bathroom. So, picture want to go to the bathroom, I live alone. What are you gonna do? What I'm saying? My friends will come and take care of me. And they would get me up, put me in my shower, bathe me down, put me back in bed, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. It was
So you
bad.
didn't have the major respiratory issues.
Oh,
Yours was mostly.
I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have survived. I was asthmatic as a kid, so that wouldn't have worked for me. That would definitely wipe. I would have been gone.
Mm.
Okay? Yeah, the shortness of breath was there, but it wasn't as bad as the abdominal pain. I'll tell you
Mhm.
that it was wow. You know what I'm saying? Just think about it, giving me chills. And I'm glad it wasn't the shortness of breath like a lot of people, because when you're diabetic and you're asthmatic and you're overweight, or have any one of those things going on for you, you can't survive COVID. It's going to kill you.
Mm. And so, what would you tell people who still don't really take precautions and they still think it's fake and all that? What would you tell them?
I think they're lucky, but you could be so lucky before you run out of that luck. You know what I'm saying? It's killing over 3,000 people a day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The World Trade Center, when that plane went into that building, it killed like 3,200 people.
And we're losing more of that in a
Yeah,
day.
yeah. Now COVID is killing that much people every day in
Right.
America, not the world, in America. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And a lot of people, a lot of people think that it can't touch them, but I see it touch a lot of people. A friend of mine in Miami, he lost his dad in June, his mom in July, and his 48-year-old older brother in August.
Hmm.
And it had him in the hospital for 2 weeks also, and he made it.
Mm.
And you lost three family members in less than 60 days.
Wow.
It's awful. So I've seen it up front, up close and up front, and I see the devastation that it have done to people.
Hmm.
My dad was sick, and every time before I go, for 4 or 5 months, every time I'm thinking about going to Atlanta, I have to get a COVID test.
Hmm.
Like the day before, to make sure that I'm good, that I'm not walking into that house to send my parents off to Neverland. you know,
Right.
they, I still do that when I'm going to see my mom now, because my dad passed. He didn't pass from COVID. He passed from, like he had a heart disease, um, and it took him out in like 7 months. But when I go see my mom now, I got to make sure that I'm not. I just bought, like those two tombstone, what they call those things, mausoleum for them. Because
Hmm.
she wanted to be, when she goes, she wanted to be next to my dad. I want to make sure that she don't go into that hole no time soon.
And so, tell us about your kids. All you have all adult kids, but most people don't know about your daughter and your other kids. Tell us about them.
Yeah, I have a 37-year-old daughter, Portia, my firstborn. We're close. We talk almost every day. She's in Germany now with her two sons, my grandsons. Those are little kids that play on Blackish, baby Devante. That's my little grandsons. They're twins. They just turned 4 years old on the 7th of this month. Yesterday, the 12th, was my youngest child birthday, Bryce.
Hmm.
Um, Beautiful soul. I have another daughter, Blade. She lives in Austin, Texas. I graduated from NYU like 3 years ago,
Hmm.
4 years ago. And I have a son, Isaiah, that lives in LA. Peter Jr., that lives in Miami Beach. He's down there with me.
And so, do your grandkids call you Pop Pop?
They call me Papa.
I love it. I love it. So now you're in Baltimore. For those of you just tuning in, he is in Baltimore, getting ready to open up just yet another bar one, this time in Baltimore. So why did you choose Baltimore? And what's the timeline for? Is it the same type of concept as the bar one in Miami, or is it, well, let's one question at a time because I'm excited. All right. So how did you choose Baltimore? That's the first question. And is it the same type of concept?
I was at home and I was watching the Netflix program, and they was talking about doing the old um, Black Lives Matters. So they were showing this Netflix program of Baltimore, Maryland, right after slavery, that it was the most prominent black city in America.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out watching that series that all the blacks was Republicans. They weren't Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And doctors, lawyers, teachers, like civil engineers, all these black people make Baltimore hot. and the Democrat was losing every year, and they send party members in there to redline the city and burn down all the black business and lynch people and burn people. They do all kind of crazy thing to us because they feel like they could. They always have a weapon of mass destruction. And this is how they control us and tell us we don't have no rights, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, after I watched that series, I was at my restaurant, and we had just opened back up in May, after May 27th. And there was 4 girls in the restaurant. And I walked on, Peter, come and take a picture with us. So I went over there. I joke with them because I usually do that with my customers. And then I actually end up sitting down beside them. And I said, "Where you guys from?" And they said, "We're from Baltimore." And I said, "Oh my God, I just watched a piece on Netflix about Baltimore, how rich that city was." And I found out that Baltimore had 600,000 residents within the city limits, and 70% of the 600,000 residents are African American. So Baltimore stayed black from after slavery until now. And I remember President Trump talking shit about Baltimore, how it's what do he call it, all kind of crazy names. You know what I'm saying?
I don't say his name, but anyway, whatever he said, it was dumb.
Yeah, he completely disrespected the city, and I think he talked about the city like that because it's black folks in the city. All right, so when I was talking to these girls and we were chopping it up out there, they told me about this space. They said, if you ever go to Baltimore, you need to go to Arbor East. And I said, well, tell me about Arbor East. And they said, you live in Atlanta, it's like Buckhead. And I said, oh, so it's prominent. That's where all the rich people are. And they said, yes, that's Arbor East. That's the best place in Baltimore. And I said, do you have any black-owned business over there? She said, absolutely not. And I thought I was crazy knowing that 70% of Baltimore is black. So, and then she told me about this location that's empty, and it would be great if Peter could get this location. And I said, I have Google Maps on my phone. Showed it to me. She showed it to me. And then she said, let me call one of my cousins, because they had a sign up on the building and said, the space is for lease. So her cousin got out of her bed, went down there and called her back, gave her the phone number before she left my restaurant. And she gave me the number. So I felt like, wow, they did all of that for me. Okay, let me look into this. And a week later, I just flew up there to look at the location. And they came out to see me, and I found out something, which is crazy. It's the same location. I don't know if you or your listeners or your viewers doing Black Lives Matters. There was an incident that took place in Baltimore where African-American woman and her 8-year-old son wanted to go into this restaurant, and he was wearing athletic gear. And they told him that they couldn't come in with that gear as a kid wearing Baltimore Ravens apparel.
Right.
There was a private room that she could see from the street open up, and there was white kids in there in the same gear. So she pointed out, she took her video out and she started videotaping it, and it went viral. Okay. It's next door to the space that I'm now going to occupy. And I believe the reason why those people were so willing to jump on it, well, first of all, I qualified, but they celebrated. As a matter of fact, they put out a press release today that Peter Thomas, former on RHOA, have restaurants in Charlotte and Miami Beach, is bringing his concept to Arbor East. That press release went out today. And I believe the reason why they gave it to me, because nobody black is over there, is because of that incident that happened that went viral on CNN.
Wow. And look at how all of that came together, because that was an innocuous.
That's God right there, baby.
For sure. And so when is it scheduled to open? Because a couple people asked when it should be, or when do you think it'll be open for your grand opening?
Well, Baltimore is 100% closed now. No indoor dining, no outdoor dining. Okay, because it's a black city and a lot of people are dying here. So I don't, even though there's a vaccine out now and people are celebrating that, I don't think that Baltimore will be ready to open for another 120 days. It's going to take me that long to build my place. So hopefully I'm ready by the time this thing, subside. People now want to come out and feel safe, knowing that they're not going to catch it and die because they could get a shot in their arm. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I'll be open up until probably the end of April.
Do you miss Charlotte?
I'm in Charlotte every other week. It's just that I'm quiet when I'm there. Vicky,
Oh, you ain't even say, hey, girl,
Vicky,
what's up?
yeah,
Slide through nothing.
yeah, Vicky and Antoine, you shot them out earlier. You know,
Mhm.
Vicky, whenever I'm in Charlotte, you know what I'm saying? I hit up Vicky, I hit up Antoine, I hit up the people that I'm cool with and close with up there, and I'm like, yo, I'm in town. And
Do
they
you
come
not
out.
see the look on my face?
Yeah, but yo, look, you know, like most people in Charlotte follow me so on Instagram, so I always post that I'm in the bar. You know what I'm saying? And after I post that I'm in the bar, I promise you, an hour later, around 30, 40 of my people just roll up on me. You know what I'm saying? You probably miss it because you're so busy. You know what I'm
That's probably true. And Kenya said real quiet because I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you've been here.
saying?
Shade. She just said you
Oh, no,
shade.
yo, and Tony's there. You know, Tony's there running that business. She's doing an incredible job, and Bar on Charlotte, even though we have to close at 9 o'clock. I mean, Sports on Charlotte, even though we have to close at 9 o'clock, it's still doing extremely well.
Well, that was my other cheers for years,
Yes,
years.
yes,
That
I
was my
know.
safe space. Like I could go and just, especially when I was on the bench, it was absolutely my safe space. And I was just always grateful to have
Mhm.
Sports One to be able to have that space and stand on the table. Well, I didn't actually stand on the tables, but definitely the bomb during football season because we would just be acting a whole
During football season, she damn near want to dance on the bar, y'all.
yo.
And she always wearing that little tootie stuff around her waist. You know what I'm saying?
Excuse me, sir. That is the tutu, and I didn't actually stand on the bar, but I have gotten in chairs.
You got in chairs. You got in chairs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, you could do that. You could do that. You know what I'm saying? You're right. Sports One still is, a place where we see the same customer 3 to 4 times every week because they feel like it's a home away from home. And
Right.
there's so many like-minded people in Charlotte, African American, Black people in Charlotte, that would go to Sports One because they know their friends are going to be there. You just get
Mm-hmm.
out of the house, go to Sports One, have something to eat. The food is great, the drinks are great, and the atmosphere is incredible.
And Sunday brunch is still legendary. We spent many a Sunday
Legendary.
brunch.
Saturday brunch, which is I love the '90s music. It's
Mm-hmm.
still banging, and Sunday is banging. And now we're doing this Sunday brunch, and now we're doing Sunday night, which uh, it took off during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
When they opened it back up. I mean, it just took off. People want to get out of their house. It's Sunday night, boom, the numbers just went through the roof.
Mm.
Thank God.
And so, what's next? So we know Bar One Baltimore is coming. Oh, but you said about 90 days or so, about 3 months from now.
Around 3 to 4 months.
Thereabouts.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And Atlanta's coming by October.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so is that the goal to expand the franchise? Or are you looking to do some other things as well?
No, you know what? This is working for me, and I'm really good at it. So I'm gonna stay with it. But I have my coffee business that I'm getting ready to push also.
Jamaican coffee, yes.
Yeah, my rum.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
about time you kind of teased us with it, and then it was like, well,
You have it. It's still sell online, and I'm coming out with the Jamaica rum cake right now.
wait a minute. Wait, Peter, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Now, the rum cake, because I am a rum cake aficionado.
Well,
I'm gonna
then
have to try your rum cake. I gotta try it.
well, you need to go up to Bar One, or you need to go up to Sports One and get your rum cake because they got it up there and it's selling like crazy. You know
Okay, I'm
what
gonna
I'm
check it out. I'm gonna check it
saying?
out.
I'm telling you,
Looking at it sideways.
it's legendary. When you so moist and when you could taste the Appleton rum in the cake, I'm telling
Mine
you,
is like that too, though. I remember. Oh, I see King is on top. I kind of smuggled. Oh, I'm about to tell it. I smuggled in some rum cake that I made and like slid her a little piece, and she like ate it at the bar, like out the pour. Ooh, she gonna be mad at me for sharing this story. But again,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of Sports One and just the family feel and just feeling like you can just be yourself. Real quick, because I know you got to go. But whatever happened with Club One? Because was a whole lot of stuff floating around about what really happened to Club One. Obviously, COVID destroyed the music factory,
Well,
but
well,
what's the
Club
real
One.
story?
I love Club One. I built Club One, and I love Club One. It's probably one of the prettiest venue I've ever did. But Club One had parking issues in that little area where I'm in the center, and then you have the comedy place to the left of me, and then you had a couple of restaurants that didn't make it. Remember Duke? He had his
Mm-hmm.
restaurant that didn't make
There
it.
was 4 or 5 places in that spot right
Yeah,
beside
and,
it.
and
Yeah.
when you come in there, you know, the VIP parking is right there, and then everybody else is one lane going in the music factory, one lane coming out of the music factory. And, you know, like if you get there at 11 o'clock at night, it probably take 40 minutes to get in front of my club when it should only take 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm paying 3, 4 police officers, and then they have me paying the police officers out there conducting traffic. You know what I'm saying? So it was just sucking me. And I didn't want to conform to a hip hop club. I wanted to be in the same genre of what Sports One was. And you know, I built it for people 25 and over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in Charlotte, there's no successful black nightclub that's upscale.
Mm-hmm.
Not the whole time I was there, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I wanted to do something special, but the parking was never conducive. Was never conducive. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't want to do the valet, then you have to park 2 blocks away in the parking lot. And then girls in stilettos don't want
Okay,
to walk.
right. I was just about to say that we ain't finna do all that.
No. So it wasn't working, and it was costing me a lot of money. So I just let it go.
Yeah.
Give it back to the landlord.
And so are you planning on doing, it sounds like you're planning on staying in this type of industry and not going back to the club industry, because it doesn't make sense right now.
I would never go back to the club thing. I'm too old for that club thing. It's a faster pace, and it's built for a young man. I'm not that young anymore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Nor do I want to be in a club until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, so no, I would never do it again.
Okay. And so what do you think the most important thing is for someone who's looking to get into your industry? Like looking back at the success that you've had for decades, like what is the one piece of advice that you would give them if they're looking to open a restaurant, or not necessarily a club, but open a restaurant that has a particular level of service that's expected?
Well, you have to be passionate about whatever you're doing, or don't do it. If you're looking at the clock and you can't wait to go home, it's not for you. You have to have a love for it, you know, and you have to take pride in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I built venues for us. All right, and I always want the service to be provided by us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always trying to educate young people that's coming in that want to be a server, or want to be a bartender, or want to be a busser, or want to be, you know, a bar back, a kitchen person, line cook, dishwasher. I'm always trying to elevate them to the next level. I believe in the concept of promoting from within. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people like Tony, that's the general manager and VP for my entire operation. She started as a bartender.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when I realized her character, you know what I'm saying, I started dating her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and best decision I ever made.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we tried, and a lot of the managers that work for me here and in Miami and in Atlanta, they started as bartenders or servers. And
Mm-hmm.
if I see that they're passionate about it, that they want to be in that industry, that they one day want to own their own bar, you know, like I push them.
Okay. So all of that being said, all of the businesses, everything that you have done over the years, which I definitely echo what Vicky said. You need to, I don't know why you haven't written a book. You tripping. I'm going to need you to write a book.
I need you to be my ghostwriter.
Child, I can't get my own thing done, but I know some people. But you really do. No, real talk. Because there's just in this little bit of time that we've had to talk, there's so many firsts and so many things that you've done that people just don't know. All they know is what they saw on television for, 2 minutes here, 3 minutes here, a scene here and the scene there. And they developed their view of you based on that without knowing everything else that you've done before that. And of course, after that. And, obviously I can certainly tell you, how you've always, like I said, more than once, like, you always going to be my dude because you've always supported, even with I Speak and with everything else. And so what is it, what I'll ask you differently. Then what are the 3 words that you think best describe you? Uh-oh.
Passionate,
Okay.
sensitive, and I work hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think that is that something that you think people know, or do you even care that they know it?
I don't care what they know. I never live my life for others to judge. I don't even read the comments when I post anything. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So the people want to leave a nasty comment, just know I'm not going to see it.
You
Because
ain't even read. You ain't
yeah,
got
I'm not going to
time.
read it. I'm not going to read it. You know what I'm saying? I'm posting to give you information, not to. I don't care about your opinion, to be honest with you, if it's good or bad. I'm just posting
Mm-hmm.
for people to see what I'm doing, and if they like what I'm doing. When you walk through one of my venues, notice you walking into my dream. You know what I'm saying? I'm not walking into yours. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And I'm trying to give you the best experience that I possibly can give you from my dream. You know what I'm saying? And I celebrate Blackness to a level that a lot of people can't comprehend. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I'm proud of my people. I love my people. You know what I'm saying? I don't see Africans or Americans or West Indians to be different people. We're all Black people from the same place. You know what I'm saying? We all originated from Africa. You know what I'm saying? And I celebrate that every day.
So, okay. So if we were in podcast studio, what I would ask you, or we would move to our where I got 3 questions. Normally there's 5. You can't think about it. Just got to give me your answer. So question 1, tomorrow you have unlimited income. You can wake up anywhere in the world where and anywhere in the world that doesn't have Rona, because nobody in this question, there's no Rona. There's no Rona. So you can wake up tomorrow and go anywhere in the world. Where would you go?
Port Antonio, Jamaica.
Why?
It is freaking beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It's God country right there. You know what I'm saying? Port Antonio, Jamaica is absolutely ridiculously beautiful.
Mm.
And I've traveled the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes it? Is it coastline?
It's coastline, and it's the most tropical place in Jamaica. As a matter of fact, it rains probably 60 to 70% of the time. So it's lush, it's green. You know, the water, that's where the Blue Lagoon is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you could be on the beach and it's just you and your person on the beach. You know what I'm saying? You know, I went there for my 60th birthday, October 1st of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just incredible, you know.
Okay. Second question.
Mhm.
What hidden talent do you have that we don't know about?
I could blow, I could sing.
Get out of here.
I can.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
now you done open the door. Now you done open the door,
No,
Peter.
I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it.
That's a little
I ain't
ditty.
gonna do it. But when people hear me sing, like, "Oh crap, I didn't know you could blow like that," I'm like, "Yeah, I could sing."
We don't get a something.
Nah,
Come
not
on,
tonight.
Peter.
Not
Not
tonight.
even a little. Not even a little. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
you gotta come, yo. You know, like in not this week coming, but the following week, I'm gonna be at Sports One karaoke night. Come up there and let me do some Lou Rawls for you. You know what I'm saying?
snap. Okay. With the 3-piece suit on, Lou Rawls. Okay.
That's what's up.
We can do that. Okay. Last question then. So, and I ask this of all of my guests. So, what is the one song that you would want to have play every time you walk into a room? What is your thing?
Everybody know that "Summer Rain" by Carl Thomas.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
everybody didn't know that. Now we know.
Everybody know that. Everybody know that because I come to Sports One. They know "Summer Rain" no matter what mood I'm in. If I'm in the worst mood ever, you put on the DJ. They all know that. So everybody, all leaders in the room, put on "Summer Rain." You know what I'm
So
saying?
you're not gonna sing "Summer Rain"? You're not gonna give us a little song?
Nah, not tonight.
Okay, I tried, y'all. I tried. All right. Well, listen, Peter. Thank you so much. Now, when you are back and I can get back in studio, I definitely want to do the full show with the photos and all that good stuff. Anybody you want to shout out real quick before we wrap it up?
I'm gonna shout out to all my people in Charlotte, North Carolina. You Carlos Wilkes, my partner. Vicky Foster. Okay, Tony Scott, Love. You know, I have a little Antoine. I don't forget about you, baby. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of people up there. Sad, what's up, Sad? You know, Yanni. You know what I'm saying? Go to Yanni Couture. best custom suit in Charlotte, best custom suit on the East Coast. You gotta go mess with Yolanda. I got some people up there that I really care about. You know what I'm saying? And I will always have a venue there. I'm looking to do my Bar One franchise in Charlotte also, because Charlotte have no upscale black restaurant with white tablecloths.
Yeah. We're gonna leave that there. And if they're not following you on Instagram, what's your IG handle?
My IG handle is Peter Thomas RHOA. RHOA. Peter Thomas RHOA.
It's up on screen, so if you're not following, make sure that you do so. So for those of you who are catching this on the replay, make sure we lost you, Peter. So when he pops back in, I'll put him back up, y'all. But make sure that you go like, subscribe, and follow at all things on Instagram. Of course, all of that at the Convo Pod Show. Definitely make sure that if you've not done so already, that you follow him at Peter Thomas RHOA. If you haven't already done so, make sure that you also check out the new website, which went live today to celebrate the beginning of season 3, which is the convopodshow.com. And that's for all show episodes. So if you miss, even going back to season 1, where we were doing a very different format, still live, but not live in this format. But definitely go back and check that out. Season 1 episodes are there, as well as all of season 2, all 33 episodes. And of course, we're kicking it off with season 3 here. And if you haven't already done so, make sure that you subscribe to us at The Conversation with Yolanda Trotman on YouTube. And I'm specifically saying this because we're giving away free merch for sure to subscribers. Pull a name out of a hat and there's going to be free merch. There's also a store where we have some limited edition Convo Pod Show shirts, one specifically designed for the ladies. So definitely make sure that you do that you like, you follow, and subscribe. So if you're catching this midway through, make sure you head back to the beginning of the episode, because Peter's story is phenomenal. It's not what you know or have seen about him just from Real Housewives of Atlanta. It is, of course, so much more than that, as far as what he's been able to do, as far as his impact in the music industry, the hospitality industry, and more. I think we have lost him, but hang on for a second, because I think something happened and we lost him. But hopefully we can get him back. But if not, he will definitely be back on, and we'll be doing a full episode with him that will be in studio, and it will have all of the other components that are classic to the Convo Pod Show. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. So excited about next week's show. Personal Conversation series continues. My guest will be none other. I'm going to give y'all a hint. I'm not even going to tell you who it is. Robert. If you know anything about the Cosby Show, you remember Vanessa. You remember Robert's Vanessa? Yeah. So my guest next week will be none other than Dondre Whitfield, whose very first acting gig was, in fact, playing the role of Robert on The Cosby Show. And I purposely chose him, and I'm so excited to have him on next Wednesday, which is Inauguration Day, because if you've been following him on Instagram, he has been very, very, very outspoken as far as using his voice politically, if you've been following his Instagram lives. So we're going to have a great time talking to him and talking about his story as an actor and all of the projects he's been involved in, and why politics is so important, because he keeps it real. So join us next week live here at 8 p.m. on the Facebook Live page or on the YouTube channel. Definitely share this episode, because I want people to really know who Peter truly is, and not what the perception that people have about him on television, because it's completely different. So y'all stay safe out there, mask up, and we will see you next week. Good night, y'all.